Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, we do have probably like 3 to 4 new species to cover in this video. I will be going over the ISO 20022 compliance, what this means for us. Now, I'm not going to say from a technical or very fundamental standpoint, as I did make a full dedicated video on this topic roughly 3 weeks ago, but I'm going to explain it in very, very simple terms. Okay, we can see there is a picture that says the top ISO cryptocurrencies. Okay, and this was from November 13th. That's why it says in 10 days. But from this video, it'll be in 3 days. We're going to know whether or not Zebec is part of the inner circle. That's what I call it. Okay, that's what I call it. Look at what we're waiting for what cryptos to be approved and everything else. Okay, we have Ripple, XRP, XLM, Algorand, we have IOTA, we have Quant, XDC, and HBAR. I just want to say that this is a stacked dynasty of cryptos. Okay, we literally have hundreds of billions of market cap in XRP, and we have billions of market cap in the other cryptos. Okay, think about it this way, right? You're either part of the inner circle or you're not. If you get on this ISO 20022 compliance, you're either part of the dynasty or you're not. Okay, to put it in simple terms, think about your favorite sports teams or fantasies or whatever, and just take the most stacked players of all time and just put them together, right? Boom, godlike roster, or just proven rosters before, let's say soccer, right? You have prime Barca, you have prime Manchester United, you have prime, Real Madrid. The point is the teams are stacked. Okay, they are stacked. And maybe you even have experiences in real life that whether you watch from a show, right? So it's in indirect experience, or maybe from yourself. Maybe you played dodgeball before or some other sport where your team was just so good you rolled over everyone. Think about it that way, right? That's what it's like to be part of the ISO 20022 compliance, getting approved, having everything go smooth. You're going to be alongside these other cryptos. Okay, you're going to be alongside the bank system. You're really going to be part of the banking system, right? You are in the inner circle. You are with the institutions. You are where the money is literally chilling. Okay, so this is a very, very big deal. This is the difference between a 10x Zbec and a 100, 200, 300, 400 potential X Zbec, right? At the end of the day, I say this, but I have zero control. But we've shown previous data with XLM, with HBAR, with XRP, with other cryptos. You know, when they got that institutional adoption, they went from this couple 100 million market cap that we're at to billions and tens of billions. Okay, so that's why we're talking about these types of ratios, not just to hype, not just to be a moon boy, because it's a real possibility. Okay, but it all relies on two things. Number one, Zebec making this happen, right? Being part of it. And number two, the institutional adoption. And number three, how much the market makers want to pump up something like Zebec. Because at the end of the day, you have zero control. I have zero control over how much it pumps. We only get to decide about when we buy and when we sell. Okay. And of course, some other things like if we like the project and doing the research and who we listen to and who we trust, etc., yada yada yada. But that's all we can really do. The rest is just the market makers. Even like right now, right, boom, we can see it's very red on the side, sorry, the right side of the screen, right? This is just all market makers. I don't have control over this. You don't have control over this, right? But what we do have is control over observing the price, learning price action, right? Making a decision. Do we buy in now? Do we buy in lower? Do we trust the cryptos we're in? Okay. This is very important, right? This is a little bit of a mindset too. I know this is going to be a news dedicated video, right? I do have some other news I'm talking about that's fairly important, but I do like to talk about mindset because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter start to tweak out. Price goes down, people start tweaking out. People start making this rumor about supply is very important and how it's not going to get massively pumped up. And we debunked that, right? We debunked it in both the Zebec videos on purpose because I'm trying to keep everyone in line so people understand, listen, man, you're okay. Things like the supply, they're not too relevant, especially that we already have pretty much all the circulating supply, which is fantastic. There are no unlocks, there is no inflation, there's nothing, there's none of that. Okay, so it's looking good, right? So that whole thing got debunked. People panicking because price is going down. Well, the whole market's going down. And if the whole market's going down, that's a good sign that it's not your crypto being a stinker. Okay? Truth or truth? Truth, exactly. So, you know, I talk about this stuff for a reason. Anyways, let's jump into some of the other things. I do want to start with Zebec Man first, and then we're going to see what Simon had to say. We can see Zebec Man said they added more in the past 24 hours as well into Coinbase wallet too. So if you guys don't know what this is referring to, this is referring to Coinbase. We can see there was a post from Zebec Man on the 9th of November, right? How the wallets are consistently staking up on Zebec. They're consistently stacking it up. They're consistently buying it, right? We talked about how, we have all these purchases and transfers and etc. We also covered it for so many weeks consistently now, how they're consistently buying, right? We talked about Coinbase, Binance, we talked about Kraken before, other exchanges, right? And we can see, right? He says they added more in the past 24 hours. So Coinbase is consistently buying up Zebec. Coinbase is consistently accumulating Zebec. Now, I said this before, and I'll say it again. If the whales are willing to stack up on Zebec, and even go down in drawdown, you have to think like the investors that you should be okay, right? You should be okay. Everything should work out. We talked about how other institutions before are putting in hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars, right? And they're down now, right? We talked about some of the institutions that put in over $1 million. And if Zbec's down 30% in the month, dude, they're down 300K, 400K, right? That's the thing. So if they're down that much and they're chilling, you should be chilling too, right? You should be chilling too. At the end of the day, of course, you have to make your own, choice and research and etc. But I'm just trying to show you guys perspective. We could also see someone did say that Gate is also accumulating Zebec. So the institutions, the whales are accumulating Zebec network. Now, listen, right? We are going to talk about this, right? Does this come out from Zebec, right? Where PayBridge, Simon talks about PayBridge, etc. But I want to dive into the top two comments first. Look, I talked about how just 1 or 2 minutes ago, people are starting to tweak out, and we can see, right? Someone said, "Is this the big news we've been waiting on? Was that the big effing announcement? No way you did this." Or, people just jumped the gun. People are just jumping the gun. We're just spewing garbage. Like, why even comment something like this? Why not just do more research? If you're really curious, why not just ask in the normal manner? Why this panicky type of tone and all this like quote unquote FUD and like I just don't get it. People, I understand, there's real people investing, there's real money behind this, but man, some people are just tweaking out. You guys got to calm down. If you've been on this channel for the last, let's say, even few weeks, you know that we've been consistently talking about lower and lower prices. So none of this should really be a surprise, right? None of this should be a surprise. But look, like I said, some people tweak out. Some people are starting to create certain narratives. It's always convenient to create negative narratives when price is down because people are going to buy into it a little bit more because fear is a real thing. Fear is a real emotion. And in general, fear can really, really blind us sometimes, right? Even if reality is okay, the emotions get worked up. And, when we start seeing these narratives, it might make people panic. And the last thing I want people to do is panic and even potentially, hurt themselves one way or another by selling or selling at the bottoms or just making mistakes or I don't know, just stop tweaking out. Everything's fine. Listen, this is going to be the last piece of news we cover, and then the video will be over, and then we will actually dive into some of the basics and fundamentals. We can see actually PayBridge has become a cornerstone of the Zebec ecosystem, was started as the first acquisition of real-world payroll company by a crypto firm, has now expanded into multiple businesses and one of the largest charter school payroll networks in the US. So we're going to listen to this and we'll see what Boy Salmon has to say.
PayBridge has been the perfect fit for the Zebec ecosystem. We took a risk on it. We're the first time a crypto company has bought a real world payroll company in the US. It's kind of been the first of many acquisitions. It's proven our product market fit. It's proven our thesis. And from there, we've gone on to acquire two additional businesses. We are now one of the largest payroll providers of charter schools in the US, which is such a great vertical because we're paying teachers, and teachers are then explaining these concepts to the next generation, to their students. So it's building the cycle, it's strengthening the ecosystem, and there's a lot more to come from here. PayBridge has been.
And by the way, right? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, right? This thing has been announced and talked about before, right? No, this was done back in 2023 when they acquired PayBridge. See, few had me there for a sec, but yeah, we can see, people. I understand, you're not always going to possibly know every single detail about your crypto. I'm not going to pretend like everyone puts in hours or tens of hours just for a single crypto, right? I'm sure here or there for some of the cryptos I hold, I might not know a fun fact or something that happened, many years ago, right? Especially if I got into the crypto more in recent times, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend like I knew Zebec's history over the last couple of years, considering that I got in May, right? I'm sure there's still few small puzzle pieces and even medium puzzle pieces that are missing that I don't know of 100%. But overall, I know like 95%, right? 95%. I caught up a lot. I've been making videos on this consistently for some time. And yeah, so yeah, we could ultimately see though that is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, we can see the markets are continuing to dump. We will look at Zebec network very, very quickly. We can see we rank 146 out of 9,184 active cryptos. In the last 24 hours, we are down 10%, almost 11. In the last week, we're down 22%. And in the last month, we are down 31%. So think about it, right? We talked about some of these whales, once again, buying up much higher even a month ago, and they're down 30%, but they are still continuing to stack up. Look, 246 million market cap, 17 million volume. When we go to the holders, we can see that boom, we are consistently breaking the record for the holders, and we are rising during tough times. Remember, if we're rising during tough times, that means it's organic growth. People see the vision, they see the value in the project for itself, and they see opportunity. But that is ultimately going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.